When she realized she was losing him, her strategy changed. No more anger. No more defiance. She softened. They brought her back into the room after the recess. Her shoulders were slumped now. Her eyes red. She looked human. "My love," she said, her voice trembling as she looked at my son. "They're turning you against me." He flinched. "I did everything for you," she continued. "I protected you. I believed in you when no one else did." I watched his face twist. Old reflexes fighting new truths. She took a shaky breath. "They don't understand us," she whispered. "They never have." She glanced at me, then back at him. "She's always wanted you to herself," she said softly. "She can't stand losing control." My son closed his eyes. "That's not true," he said, but the words lacked strength. She reached out her hand toward him. "Look at me," she pleaded. "Remember how it was in the beginning." His jaw clenched. "You said you loved me," she pressed. "You said you'd never abandon me." Tears rolled down her cheeks. Real ones this time. Or at least convincing ones. "They're making me look like a monster," she sobbed. "But you know who I really am." I finally spoke. "Who you really are," I said calmly, "is someone who only cries when they're caught." Her head snapped toward me. "You don't know anything about me," she snapped. "Oh, I do," I replied. "I know you fear being exposed more than being alone." She turned back to my son, voice breaking again. "If you walk away now," she whispered, "you'll destroy me." He stared at her hard. And then he said something she wasn't prepared for. "I already destroyed someone," he said quietly. "And I won't do it again." Her face went pale. The room felt colder. Because in that moment, she realized the strings were snapping. The collapse didn't happen all at once. It came in pieces, sleepless nights, trembling hands, and a silence that grew louder every day. I watched my son unravel in front of me. The confident man who once promised to protect me now avoided my eyes. His shoulders were always tense, his phone glued to his hand, as if someone on the other side was pulling invisible strings. And she was. At first, he defended her with desperation. "She just needs time. She's been through a lot. You don't understand her like I do." But the cracks were already there. Bills started appearing that made no sense. Accounts drained without explanation. Addresses that didn't exist. Names that changed spelling every time they appeared on paper. Then came the call. A quiet voice on the other end of the line asked one simple question. "Do you know who your daughter-in-law really is?" The truth hit him like a physical blow. She wasn't who she claimed to be. Not a grieving woman. Not a victim of a broken past. She was a professional con artist. Wanted in small towns across several states. Always moving. Always changing names. Always finding lonely, trusting men to manipulate. And my son was her perfect target. That night, he broke. He sat on the floor of my empty living room, the same room I had lost because of him, and cried like a child. Between sobs, the words finally came out. "I ruined everything, Mom. I let her control me. I gave her your life. And mine, for the first time. He didn't defend her. He didn't excuse her lies. He admitted the truth. And in that moment, I saw not the man who destroyed my future, but the boy I once held in my arms, terrified and lost. The moment control slipped away, he didn't notice it. At first, it looked like stress. Missed calls, short temper, sudden silence. But soon, his entire world began shrinking around her. He stopped seeing friends, stopped answering family messages, stopped making decisions without asking her first. Every question I asked made him angry. Why are you checking the account? Why did you talk to the bank? Why are you trying to interfere? He wasn't defending her anymore. He was afraid of her. I could see it in his eyes. The panic of a man who no longer knew what was real and what was planted in his head. She controlled the narrative. She controlled the money. And slowly, she controlled him. Then came the breakdown. He started doubting himself. He reread messages over and over, asking me if he had imagined things. He apologized for conversations that never happened. He blamed himself for her anger, her tears, her threats. She cried when he questioned her. She screamed when he hesitated. She disappeared when she sensed resistance. Every move was calculated. One night, he called me at 3 a.m. His voice was shaking. She says if I leave, everything will be my fault. She says she'll ruin me. That's when I knew. He wasn't in a relationship anymore. He was trapped. The final loss of control came quietly. No screams. No arguments. Just surrender. He signed papers he didn't read. Transferred money he couldn't explain. Apologized for things she invented. And when everything was gone, the house, the savings, my future, she vanished. No goodbye. No explanation. Only silence. That was when control returned to him too late. He stood in the ruins of his own life, holding nothing but regret. And the hardest truth of all, she didn't destroy him. She waited for him to give her permission. She felt it before it happened. The questions were getting closer. The lies were harder to hold. The walls were closing in. Her tone changed. She stopped sounding confident. Stopped making promises. Started rushing everything. Let's move. Let's take the money and disappear. No one needs to know, but this time he hesitated. For the first time, he didn't move fast enough. And panic crept into her voice. She wasn't planning a future anymore. She was planning an escape. When she realized he wouldn't run, she changed tactics. Fear turned into tears. Tears turned into threats. She cried about being watched. She said people were after her. She claimed enemies were trying to destroy them. Trust me or lose everything. If you stay, they'll take you down with me. I'm the only one protecting you. But the words sounded rehearsed. Too polished. Too familiar. He had heard them before, from someone else. That's when he understood. She wasn't afraid of danger. She was afraid of being exposed. Her final attempt was silent. She packed bags without telling him. Deleted messages. made calls in another room. But the timing betrayed her. The bank had already flagged the accounts. The names didn't match. The transfers led nowhere she could hide. By the time she reached the door, the escape was gone. She looked at him, not with love, not with fear, but calculation. And for the first time, she had no move left. The game was over. The revelation didn't come with drama. It came with paperwork. A sealed folder was placed on the table. Names, dates. Photographs. All different. All hers. The investigator spoke calmly, almost cold. This woman does not exist under the name, you know. My son's breath caught. She has used multiple identities across state lines, he continued. Social security numbers that don't belong to her. Addresses that lead nowhere. Every sentence stripped another layer away. What remained wasn't confusion. It was exposure. Then they showed the pattern. Small towns. Recently widowed men. Families with assets. Always the same cycle. Charm. Isolation. Control. Extraction. She gains trust quickly, the officer explained. Then slowly turns the victim against anyone who might interfere. My son stared at the documents. Every argument. Every lie. Every moment of doubt. All scripted. He wasn't special. He was selected. The final page changed everything. A warrant. Active. Issued years ago. Charges pending. Financial fraud. Identity theft. Elder exploitation. The room felt smaller. She was already running when she met you, the investigator said. You were never her destination. Just another stop. My son closed his eyes. The truth had a sound. It was the sound of something shattering quietly inside him. The arrest didn't happen in silence. It happened in daylight. Outside a small courthouse, cameras were already waiting. Someone had leaked her name. Her real name. She walked out pretending calm, sunglasses hiding eyes that refused to meet anyone's. But the whispers followed her. She's the one. That's her. The scammer. My son stood across the street, frozen. For the first time, the world saw her not as charming, but as hunted. She tried one last performance. A shaky voice. A trembling hand. The ace is a misunderstanding. The handcuffs answered for her. Metal clicked. Final. When they read her rights, she laughed. Not relief. Panic. Because she knew there would be no disappearing this time. No new town. No new name. The story was over. As they led her away, she finally looked at my son. Not with love. With calculation. As if searching for one last way out. But he didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't follow. The woman who once controlled his world was now just another name in a police report. And everyone saw it. He didn't cry when she was arrested. He didn't cry when the cameras flashed. He cried when the door closed behind them. In the silence of that small room, his strength finally collapsed. He fell to his knees. I destroyed everything, he whispered. My son, the boy I once held in my arms, was gone. In his place was a man drowning in regret. He crawled toward me like a child, wrapped his arms around my waist, held on as if letting go would end him. I didn't see it, he cried. I thought she loved me. His shoulders shook. His breath broke. I felt his tears soak into my clothes. And the first held him. Not because he was right, but because he was mine. I lost you, he sobbed. And I almost lost you forever. I touched his hair. The same hair I once combed before school. You're still here, I whispered. And as long as you're breathing, there is a way back, he cried harder. Not from pain, from release. Because for the first time since everything fell apart, he was home. He tried to speak. The words tangled in his throat. I chose her over you. The sentence cut deeper than any scream. I let her convince me you were the problem. His voice cracked. I abandoned the only person who never abandoned me. He buried his face against my chest, like he used to when he was afraid of thunderstorms. I don't deserve you, he whispered. Shame pressed him down harder than guilt. I look at myself, and I don't recognize who I became. I felt his heart racing, lost, ashamed, small. I remembered the nights I stayed awake when he had fevers, the scraped knees, the first heartbreak. I had loved him through every version of himself. This one would not be different. I held him tighter. Love doesn't disappear when it's tested. It proves itself. I'm sorry, he said again. No excuses. No explanations. Just regret. I don't expect forgiveness. That's when I knew it was real. Because real remorse doesn't ask. It accepts. I'll take care of you now, he whispered. Not because I have to, but because I want to. His words weren't loud. They were steady. Broken things can still choose to rebuild. He didn't leave that night. He stayed. Slept on the couch. Like he belonged there again. And for the first time in a long time, he did. The morning after everything fell apart felt unfamiliar. Not dramatic. Not hopeful. Just quiet. Sunlight slipped through the thin curtains, touching the worn furniture we could no longer replace. I heard him moving in the kitchen, careful, as if afraid to disturb something fragile. When he handed me a cup of coffee, our fingers touched. Neither of us spoke. Some wounds don't close with words. They heal with presence, with staying. The days that followed weren't easy. He struggled with shame. I struggled with fear. We learned each other again, slowly. He asked before making decisions, listened without interrupting. And when I woke in the middle of the night, haunted by memories of losing everything, he was there. Sitting in the dark, waiting. Healing didn't arrive like a miracle. It arrived like routine. We didn't rebuild our lives with big plans. We rebuilt them with small things. Shared meals. Walks around the neighborhood. Conversations that didn't need an ending. He helped with the bills. Fixed what he could. And when he failed, he didn't disappear. He stayed. That was the difference. One evening, as we sat together watching an old show, I realized something. I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of losing him. Not of being alone. We weren't the same people we used to be. We were quieter, wiser, and strangely stronger. Sometimes life doesn't give you back what was taken. It gives you something truer. Healing didn't arrive with happiness. It arrived with repetition. Every morning, the same kettle on the stove. The same chair by the window. The same slow rhythm of life returning. He woke up early now. Not to escape. Not to hide. But to be useful. He cleaned, cooked. Sat beside me in silence. And somehow, that silence stopped hurting. Trust didn't return all at once. It crept back in unnoticed. When he asked before leaving the house. When he called just to say where he was. When he came back, every time. There were no promises, only consistency. And consistency became safety. For the first time in years, my heart stopped bracing for loss. Some days were painfully ordinary laundry, groceries, bills on the table, but those ordinary days carried something sacred. They meant survival. We laughed sometimes, surprised by it. The kind of laugh that feels fragile, like it might break if you look at it too closely. But it didn't break. It stayed. One night, I realized something had changed. I slept through the night. No nightmares, no fear. Just rest. In the morning, he was there, reading quietly. I understood then. Routine didn't erase the pain. It gave us a place to put it down. And that was enough. That night, the house felt different. Not empty. Not heavy. Just still. My son sat beside me, staring at the floor like he used to when he was a boy in trouble. I don't know how to fix what I broke, he said. His voice wasn't desperate anymore. It was honest. Some things don't need fixing. They need understanding. I looked at him for a long time. Not as the man who hurt me, but as the child I carried. You don't fix love, I told him. You protect it when you finally understand its value. He swallowed hard. That was the lesson life had taught him too late. But not too late to matter. For the first time, he breathed deeply, as if something invisible had been lifted from his chest. I was so afraid of being alone, he admitted. And I was so afraid of losing you, I answered. We smiled, softly. Fear had controlled us both. Love brought us back. Forgiveness didn't come with a speech. It came with a touch. I placed my hand over his warm, familiar. I forgave you the moment you came back, I said. He cried, not loudly. The quiet kind of crying that finally lets go. We lost money. We lost time. We lost pieces of ourselves we will never get back. But we didn't lose each other. And that realization felt heavier and lighter at the same time. Some losses teach you what truly matters. He didn't promise anything. He didn't need to. The next morning, he made breakfast, paid a bill, fixed a broken door. Love, when real, doesn't announce itself. It shows up every day. This isn't a story where everything returns. It's a story where something better is built slower quieter truer. We didn't get our old life back. We earned a new one. If you're watching this and carrying regret, know this. As long as there is breath, there is a chance. As long as there is love, there is a way back. Some endings aren't endings. They are the beginning we were too afraid to hope for. If this story made you feel something, help it reach more people. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today.